This is a tube. Once upon a time when your radio broke down, you would take one of these out of the back. Take it down to a store like this called a Radio Shack, test it, buy a new one, and probably buy some other electronic junk while you were here. But nowadays, you're just as likely to walk out of a Radio Shack store carrying computer software or a brand new 386 PC. For from the Model 1 to the Model 100, from the color computer to the new multimedia PCs, Tandy Radio Shack has played a significant role in the growth of personal computers. Today, we take a look at Tandy computers then and now on the special edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by DataStorm Technologies, setting the standard in PC communications through the development of award-winning software such as Procom Plus, combining power, ease of use, and affordability to become the best-selling communication software in the world. And by PC Connection and Mac Connection, mail-order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh. And by Byte Magazine and Bix, the Byte Information Exchange.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is my first computer, the old TRS-80 Model 1. Dug it out of the garage this morning. I bought it back in 1978. It's the computer I first learned how to program on, learned all about microcomputers, and look what a difference 12 years can make. This old bulky keyboard, the CPU's inside here, old-fashioned keyboard, cables all over the place, separate power supply, storage device, a Radio Shack cassette recorder. Here was the program right here. You get your program on your cassette. You pop it in the cassette machine, adjust the volume very, very carefully, hit it, and maybe if you're lucky 10 minutes later, you've got a program up on your Model 1. Now, I did just load a program over here. You may remember this. This is a rather classic program. Let me load it up here for you in 1 second. And this is called the Dancing Demon, okay? This runs in less than 16K of memory. When I bought the computer, it came with 4K. I had to spend $200 extra to upgrade it to 16K, and here he is. Great program back in 1979, the Dancing Demon, multimedia in the 70s. Well, a lot of people used to make fun of the TRS-80, call it the Trash 80 and so on, but the fact of the matter is that over the years, Tandy has been pretty innovative. They virtually invented the laptop market with the Model 100. They were the first to come up with a friendly user interface, bundled integrated software in DeskMate. In fact, they've done quite a few interesting things, and today we're going to look at some of the great Tandy Radio Shack history, and we'll see the newest multimedia products from Tandy and their new company, Grid. Now, if there is any dedicated group of old computer users, it is certainly the people who still love their Coco, the Tandy Color Computer. We start with a visit to the Color Computer Users Group in Santa Clara, California.
Though the Radio Shack color computer is no longer rolling off the assembly lines, there are still plenty of happy Coco users. Nicknamed Coco by its fans, the color computer has been the entry-level computer for over 1 million computer users and programmers. And despite its age, it was first introduced in 1980, it's still being used by many diehards.
The keys to continuing that success, is the affection that it has in the minds of the users. This was often people's first computer, a computer that they could learn with, that was inexpensive enough to experiment with.
Your local Tandy store may no longer provide much support for the Coco user, but the color computer owners themselves still get together at user group meetings to develop new programs and solve old problems.
The support one gets from joining a users group is that you meet other Coco users, exchange programs, show and tell, get help with programming and hardware problems, and exchange equipment. No one can do everything all themselves. Some people are good at hardware, others at programming, and others at putting it all together.
In addition to thriving users groups all over the country, the Coco still has its own magazine called Rainbow. The color computer operates under OS 9, an operating system which provided Coco owners with multitasking long before Multifinder or Windows ever came out. In addition to its multitasking capability, faithful users have an endless list of reasons why they still use their Coco.
This computer is a computer that can be afforded by any television viewer that assumes that they have electric power and a television set. I chose the Coco also because of its excellent programming environment, because it is well understood, because it's a modular system, and because there's some excellent software, though some of it has to be purchased mail order.
Mail order, since very few computer stores, even Tandy stores, sell software for an orphan computer. But Mark Paulson says in the end, every PC becomes an orphan.
We are part of a dying breed living in the twilight of the cocoa, but so too is anyone else who owns a computer, because the life cycle of these products is very short.
But through the loyalty and creativity of Coco users, the color computer, like the old Royal Portable Typewriter, will never die. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Joining us now is the man who heads up the computer division at Tandy, the vice president of Tandy Computers, Howard Elias, and also with us again, Richard Landry of MPC World. Howard, it was pretty revolutionary, I guess, many years ago when you gave up on TRS-DOS and went to MS-DOS and became a PC compatible. Now I understand Tandy is going to have computer stores that sells Macs and PS2s?
Actually, that's right. We've started a new subsidiary at Tandy called Computer City Supercenters. And in addition to our standard distribution channels, Radio Shack, where you still buy all Tandy computers, our superstores will sell all types of brands, and specifically name brands of computers, IBM, Apple, Compaq, as well as Tandy.
Well, as we know, things have certainly changed with Tandy from the good old TRS-80 Model 1 days to these multimedia machines here.
You bet.
Show us what you've got. These are two new Tandy machines that are multimedia machines, and just give us an idea of what they can do.
Sure. These are actually two machines of a family of 5 that we introduced last May and just started shipping a few weeks ago. We have a 2500 SX20, which is a 386 SX 20 megahertz machine, and then we have a 33 megahertz 386 DX machine. I've got several different types of applications I'd like to show you today: business, education, and
Okay.
consumer.
And these both have integrated
entertainment.
CD-ROM drives?
You bet. These are complete integrated systems, straight out of the box. They are true MPCs,
Right.
multimedia PCs. They've got RAM memory, they've got hard drives inside, the CD-ROM drive integrated, as well as the soundboard and software.
All right, so
completely
let's start
configured.
with the 20 over there.
Sure, let me start with the 2500 SX. I've actually got an interesting application here utilizing a touch
Okay, now this is,
screen.
yeah, you're touch screening now, yeah.
That's right, a touchscreen, which is an optional extra to the MPC. And here is an information kiosk, electronic catalog, that we're actually testing at some of our Radio Shack stores. Let's say, for example, you want to look at the antennas, and you can just select there, and I happen to be interested in the cordless phone antenna, and I did this a couple weeks back when I walked into the store. I broke the antenna off my cordless phone. I know my manufacturer and model number, and actually it's an AT&T phone, and it's a model 5200. So if I just scroll down there and select, what it will do is go actually to the CD, bring all of the information to the screen that I need, shows me a picture of the antenna, actual size. I can actually touch for more information, and I have the part number, all of the specifications, and the price. So it's a very, very interesting application.
So you'd be
for
running that
business.
as a kiosk in a store, but in fact it's running off this Tandy computer.
It runs on a straight MPC out of the box. That's
Richard,
right.
about 10 years ago, I guess, when Hewlett-Packard introduced touchscreen, everybody laughed and made jokes about it. Is the touchscreen coming back as an interface?
Well, particularly in places like stores or malls where people can come up and get information that they specifically want any way they want. It's
we have the
turning
keyboard-phobic user.
Well, yeah, on top of that, just think about this. They're selling personal computers in their Tandy stores. People are coming up to a personal computer to get information.
yeah.
And over time, that's going to wear down people's fear of using computers just by the fact that they're able to come up and get whatever
All right,
they
let's
want.
move over to the other machine here
Let me
and
stop
show us
this
what that can do, Howard.
application. Another very typical business application for multimedia is training. And here actually we're using a very nice tool called Guide from a company named OWL. And what this does is an application that was prepared on teaching a mechanic about fixing cars, repairing cars. And here we're going to go and show very briefly. You can get into the carburetor disassembly area and you're doing some diagnosis. So I have a problem, and my problem is I'm engine miss at high speed. So we can go ahead and select that, and we'll go through the check fuel pressure, and it'll take you through
Check all fuel connections for external leaks.
So it shows you a photograph and it tells you step by step exactly what you need to do to go through the proper
If you buy a new
procedures.
Chevy, it'll come with a CD-ROM.
Fuel tank cap.
Just about. That's right.
Richard?
This is actually the kind of thing that would benefit from a touch screen too. In a garage shop, you can imagine
Sure.
somebody going up and just figuring out what to do next.
That's right.
Yeah. What else, Howard?
Let me get out of this and show you some applications that are more educationally oriented. Everybody's a Beethoven fan, certainly I am. Here's an application that will actually show you how the symphony was developed, what Beethoven was thinking, and how it's actually constructed, different instruments and so on. You can actually go to what they call a pocket guide here, and it shows you how the symphony is actually laid out in its 4 different movements, and you can bounce around, decide you want to play a certain part, and then we'll hear that part come on and play. We can go to various different ones, and I'll pick the more famous ones that people will recognize, certainly. And just listen to the symphony in various different ways. But what's very interesting about it is, let me just pause this for a moment, is there are many different ways to look at the symphony, and let me just very briefly go into what they call a close reading, which actually plays the symphony, and as it's playing, it gives you a description of what's going on and how it's actually been constructed. This is good not only for schools teaching music appreciation, but also for use in the home.
Oh, most definitely. I think even more so than in schools. Everyone who gets out of school wants to keep their learning up. They want to learn more about culture and society, and products like this are just a perfect reason to go out and get an MPC.
Howard, one good reason for wanting a multimedia computer, I guess, is use of reference works, things like encyclopedias which have music and words and so on. You have an application like that on this one, don't you?
Yeah, in fact, let me go ahead and show you one. Let me get out of Beethoven here, and I'll take the Beethoven disc out. As you can see, by the way, this is a very different kind of a CD-ROM disc. I don't have a special caddy like some of them do. This actually works just like your CD audio player at home. Just go ahead and change the discs. And here I'll go ahead and open up a product from Microsoft called Bookshelf. And this actually has many different reference books inside of it. And one of them happens to be an encyclopedia. We'll go ahead and show you what kinds of things you can do with an encyclopedia. Instead of just text and maybe some simple graphs or so on, you can actually do some animation and sound. Here we're learning about jet propulsion. Let me just go ahead and start this for you, and you'll see this animation sequence.
With audio.
With audio. It'll take you through about exactly how a jet engine works. You'll see in a moment that the turbine starts to go around and so on. So a very interesting application.
And you really clicked on a forward button as if this
That's all I
were
did, just a little tape
recorder
player
or
here. In
something.
fact, I can go ahead and stop it right now and rewind it and so on.
See, you don't really need video. You don't need actual pictures, moving
good point.
pictures. Animation, which is perfectly okay for machines like this, does the job quite well. In fact.
Okay, how about for kids? I mean, learning and educational applications.
Yeah, I've got some great stuff for kids. In fact, let me show you an application back over
We're
on the
going back on the
2500 SX machine over here. I'm going to skip the opening part, but here's an example of a little children's game, but it's actually fun, and you can learn. Let me go ahead and turn that volume up.
Living books. To have the story read to you, press this button.
So this little character is taking the child through the opening. I want to show you a little bit of the
And we're getting the sound and the animation off the CD.
You bet.
Yeah, that's cute.
Isn't that nice? He goes through a little dance and entertains the kids. This is a touchscreen again, so let me just go ahead and start the little game here. And it's what it is. It's actually a book. And instead of a textbook that you read, it's animated, and you can play with different things on the screen. And here it's going to read you the first page of the book.
We went to the beach. Just Grandma and me.
And then it starts a story, and you can go through the whole thing.
Okay,
So
just
it's
a little
very
bit of time left. A real good example of instant electronic publishing is, I think, the Desert Storm story came out electronically, didn't it? You have
Yes,
that
it
up on
did.
the other machine.
I do over here. Let's go ahead and click on Desert Storm. This actually came out in May from Warner New Media, just immediately after the war ended.
So it really is the version of the pocketbook that comes out right after
Very
the story.
quickly, and it was pressed on a CD, and you have an anthology of the entire war from Time magazine correspondence and information.
With sounds and photos and stuff?
photos, and there's scripts of different speeches that were made and so on. It's really wonderful.
A long way since the TRS-80 Model 1. Gentlemen, thank you very much. In 1988, Tandy acquired Grid Systems Corporation, a company well known for its heavy-duty portable computers. Today, under Tandy ownership, Grid is leading the way in pen-based computing.
Nurses spend much of their workday on their feet, and they often have to fill out forms each day, forms that later have to be re-entered into a computer by someone else. Here at Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Santa Clara, California, research nurse Robin Waddell visits patients who want to quit smoking while they're in the hospital. And instead of an old-fashioned clipboard with paper forms, she now uses a GridPad pen-based computer and carries it with her from room to room to record patient information. Waddell can use the GridPad pen to write down patient names and other relevant data. Her handwritten letters instantly turn into typed letters on the computer screen. She also has a questionnaire programmed into the GridPad so that she only has to select the right option from a series of multiple choice questions, reducing the need for lengthy handwritten input. A nurse could obviously do the same with a normal keyboard-based laptop, but it wouldn't be as convenient.
I would say the greatest benefit of using the GridPad is that it's very compact, it's relatively light, and it's easy to use. I mean, we can use it out of the office or in the office. I can make phone calls at home if I needed to, or enter data at home. So it's very mobile.
Waddell combines the benefits of mobility with the power of a desktop by downloading the information she puts into the GridPad once her rounds are finished. She then uses the desktop computer to analyze the data. While the pen-based portable computer is a good compromise between the old-fashioned clipboards and high-tech laptops, the pen-based interface is still not perfect.
I would say the only drawback at this point is the character recognition. When I write into the computer, sometimes it doesn't always recognize it, so it's real important to write big capital letters, and then it does a lot better. And the only other drawback besides that would be that there's no standardized software programs that you can apply to the Grid at this point. We had a computer programmer spend a lot of time.
Grid does have a way around the character recognition problem. Users do have the option of pulling up a keyboard on the screen and then essentially typing in the words by selecting the letters with a pen. Nurse Waddell says she saved a lot of time by carrying the GridPad with her. She doesn't have to handwrite notes when she's with a patient or on the telephone and then type them up later. And knowing what a doctor's handwriting looks like, no secretary ever has to struggle to interpret written notes. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Joining us now is Michael Gibbons of Grid Systems Corporation, and back with us again, Richard Landry of MPC World. And if you don't know, MPC, of course, stands for Multimedia Personal Computing. Speaking of which, Michael, you've got an intriguing portable, Grid Portable here, which does multimedia. Just give us a little guided tour of the box, because I see a lot of unusual things on it.
Okay, well, this is the GridCase 1550 CD, which we announced this past August. The GridCase 1550 CD is the 10th in a series of GridCase computers, and the common thing about all of them is that they're all encased in magnesium, which makes them extremely durable.
So like Grid trademark, you can drop them and all that.
Exactly. It's really able to withstand the rigors of carrying it around.
Now, what about, now you've got a CD-ROM drive here. I mean, how durable would that be? I get a little nervous about that.
Well, the CD-ROM drive is actually attached to the GridCase itself, so it's very hard to drop.
I see.
And it's also encased in metal, just like the 1550 itself.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about the pointing device. You have something called IsoPoint, which is that little rod at the bottom. If you could sort of twist that keyboard around and show me, how does that work and what's the point?
Okay, well, this is meant to replace a mouse. A lot of portable users complain about having to carry a mouse around because it's just another thing to carry. With the IsoPoint, it's actually integrated into the machine, so you don't have to worry about losing a mouse. The way it works is that when you slide the bar back and forth like this, the mouse pointer would move that way.
Left, right, up, down. It's kind of like a trackball.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, when you press down on the mouse, it's equivalent to a click.
Now, what's this little card over here?
Well, this is an internal modem for the 1550 that we've just announced. It's a V.32 BIS modem. And what that means is that it transfers data at 14,400 baud, which is 6 times what most laptop computers can transfer data at.
All right, Michael, what kinds of applications can we run on this Grid CD machine?
Okay, well, the first thing I'd like to show you is a mapping application.
Okay.
Now, this could be used by utility workers that are going out to locate broken phone cables and electric wires and things of that nature. The way this works is that you can actually zoom in on the map that's displayed on the screen. You'll see that as we move the ice point, we can point to an area of the screen that we like more detail on and zoom in. You'll also see that in the upper left-hand corner of the screen here, we get the longitude and latitude.
Yeah.
That's what's referred to as the geodata. So as we get further and further down in the map, we get a greater level of detail, and you see we're getting street names
and so on. Yeah. Now,
things
this
like
whole
that.
database is coming off the CD-ROM, which is inside the
That's
drive
right,
connected
that's right.
here. All right, how else would we use this? Give me another application.
Okay, well, I'd like to show you another application, which is an online database. So
All
I'm
right,
going to change
show me how you
disks.
switch disks in this.
Okay, we've got a door here, which is nice, so nothing can get in the CD, which is important in a portable environment.
Right.
We actually do, in fact, use the caddy. And the reason for that is that if you're a utility worker and you're climbing a telephone pole or something like that, you won't gum up the
You don't
disk
want
or
to
the
touch or
drive or
drop
anything
the
like that.
disk,
Exactly.
yeah.
So there is a
Okay.
reason for the caddy in this
So
case.
what is this application?
Okay, now this is called Computer Select. It's a database that contains the full text of several different computer
Right,
publications. So let me go ahead and load this up. And we can do a search on this database. Let's search in this case for IsoPoint. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and say words and IsoPoint. And you'll see that it actually does retrieve the text pretty quickly. And boom, we've got 97 matches and 37 documents. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of those. We can browse, and as I say, we've got the full text here of these different magazines.
Richard, let me ask you, is there really a market for portable MPC? I mean, you did mention the utility worker who might run around. I mean, how about this kind of stuff? Who's going to use and want to pay for this kind of machine?
Well, obviously, these can be very important for people who are going out into the field and solving service problems. But there's another whole area that relates to people going out into the field and selling to other people. Presentations, the presentations.
So the ability to have the whole multimedia package in your briefcase.
And sure, and the presentations market right now, making slides and the like, is close to a $5 billion market. These kinds of things can allow somebody to whip up a presentation in no time fast and bring it right out to a client.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Michael. Let's get back. So, what else would you show me in this? I mean, how about the multimedia? I haven't heard anybody sing yet out of this.
Sure. Well, this machine actually does have a headphone jack, so we do have limited multimedia capability. I'm going to put in another disc here.
Okay.
And this is a demonstration of an online catalog. What you can do here is actually order different components or parts. You can make a selection from a list of different things that you like, and that will print out an invoice that you can fax to the manufacturer. So let me load that up here.
This is a perfect example of a sales situation where you're actually in someone's office and making a sale.
And you've got your whole catalog with you on the CD-ROM.
That's right. And we're going to get some music here in a second.
Okay, just loading up now?
There's the music. And so you see that we do get a limited amount of multimedia functionality out of this machine.
Now, as we saw before, could you have the kind of thing we saw in the first segment on the Tandy machines with a training disc or something like that?
Sure. The difference between the two machines is the type of audio that they can produce. This produces Redbook audio, which is not quite up to the MPC standard.
Okay, right. All right, now if you can, I can ask you to set this down for a second. Just take this box apart because it's rather intriguing how you've connected this all up. Show me the drive itself and how it connects to the portable.
Okay, well I mentioned that it is an attachable drive, but if you don't want to carry it around with you, you can detach it. So let me do that. You unhook the clips in the back here. This actually comes off like this. In the back you'll see we have a SCSI cartridge that we use to interface with the CD-ROM drive.
Let's flip this around if I can so we can show everybody what this looks like.
Sure. What we've got is a battery cavity. This is ordinarily used for the internal battery. But when you're using it in the desktop environment, you can use it with these portable, with these expansion cartridges. This is a SCSI cartridge that I mentioned earlier.
SCSI is pretty neat. You can connect other drives and other devices to it then as a result,
That's right. You could actually daisy chain.
That's great.
Quite nice. Okay, Michael, one more thing. We're not used to seeing grid desktops, or at least I'm not used to seeing grid desktops. And I guess the story behind that one is this little guy. This is the AMD chip. Now tell me about the chip and about what it's doing inside the machine and why it makes it better.
Okay, well this is the new AMD AM386SX25. We put it in this machine because we were looking for a nice balance between performance and price. Some of the higher end 386 products get a little bit pricey, so you'd like to go to an SX, but with today's graphical environments like Windows, you want a little bit more power. So we find that the 25 megahertz SX really achieves that nice balance between price and performance.
Okay, so the AMD chip is in the grid desktop. It's not inside your laptops right now.
That's right. We have actually used the AMD in other grid laptops, so we do have a history with them.
Okay. Now, Richard, let me ask you, let's not forget, we're talking really about Tandy here and the whole history that we started out with a long time ago. there's been quite a change. I mean, it's not the same kind of computer company. I mean,
Not
it was
at
sort of
all.
a hackers, hobbyist kind of thing back in the early 80s. And now, I guess they're one of the biggest competitors for the IBM in the small business
Well,
market, aren't
certainly. I think since 1987, Tandy has been just driving more and more towards having cutting-edge business products. The MPC, that whole area is an area that they pioneered, but Tandy also was the first major manufacturer to come out with a microchannel compatible product. And so they've been really on the cutting edge of business technology for quite a long time. Since '87, really, it's been that way.
And what was the strategy behind the Grid purchase? What are the benefits of that Grid-Tandy marriage?
Well, it was actually a very synergistic relationship. What Tandy really needed was a corporate sales force that Grid was actually very good at.
Yeah.
Grid was at the point where they really needed a large world-class manufacturing organization and purchasing, and they got that out of the acquisition.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was really the opening shot in Tandy getting very, very serious about business was the acquisition of Grid.
Well, everybody else is acquiring, so why not you guys? Gentlemen, thank you very much. That's our look at Tandy then and now. Stay tuned for this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, at the annual NetWorld show, the talk was of wireless LANs. A company called Proxim announced a wireless LAN adapter called RangeLAN. The product is an interface card with a small antenna that transmits via spread spectrum radio frequencies. Proxim says the network can transmit through multiple walls at distances up to 800 feet. Traveling Software has announced 2 new linking products to transfer files between pen-based computers and desktops. The products are called Pen Connect and Pen LapLink. Both use Traveling Software's Universal Communications Object technology. Ever since John Scully told CES that Apple would be entering the consumer electronics field, everyone has been speculating on what the products might be. The current rumor is that Apple and Sharp are working together to produce a Pocket Mac, a handheld organizer with full computer power. And Vizio has announced an internal display adapter for the Macintosh PowerBook. It lets the notebook computer drive an external color display. The Vizio adapter offers excellent display rates since it uses internal processing and bypasses the SCSI port. Looking at the best-selling software titles for the Mac last week, Mac Connection reports that Macintax is still #1, followed by Quicken. The Now Utilities moves up to 3rd. No other surprises in the rest of the top 10. Hewlett-Packard says its new Apollo 9000 RISC workstations will feature RasterOps Live video in a window technology. The RasterOps adapter card accepts video signals from a variety of sources. The video can then be manipulated in a window or captured in memory. Well, if you already have a laptop but are salivating over better batteries and bigger hard drives, the Complete Portable is offering laptop upgrades by mail. Send in your portable computer and they'll replace drives, add RAM, or upgrade your battery and mail it back to you within 24 hours. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Maria Gabriel.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by Datastorm Technologies, setting the standard in PC communications through the development of award-winning software such as Procom Plus, combining power, ease of use, and affordability to become the best-selling communication software in the world. And by PC Connection and Mac Connection, mail-order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh. And by Byte Magazine and Bix, the Byte Information Exchange.
Videocassette copies of this program are available. Computer Chronicles also publishes a companion newsletter containing details on products demonstrated, plus background information on program topics. To order a videocassette or a subscription to the newsletter, call 1-800-366-9484 or write Computer Chronicles. Please specify program subject for tapes.